Let's get this thing on the way. Welcome everybody to another show. ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. As always, right here, putting it down for the ISUPK. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to log on to our YouTube spot. Let's try again. All right, so I'm trying to get on our YouTube page. Give me 1 second here. Having some technical difficulty here, trying to get back on. Okay, I want to thank everybody for stopping by and watching the show today. Jonathan, William, Johnny Gutierrez, Shalom Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah, to everybody watching. At the moment, I'm trying to get on my YouTube, you know, just in case we go out here. You guys can reach me on the YouTube. Rahab Yahawada, Shalom, brother. Thank you for tuning in. And just bear with me for a second. Arizona, huh? That's what's up, man. Big ups to Arizona tuning in today. You know, holding it down. Appreciate that. Appreciate the love coming from Arizona. I know it's probably hot out there. You know what I'm saying? But it's hot all across the nation for the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, right? That's what's up. But right now, I'm just trying to get it together here. I got something going on with our with my YouTube. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to stop broadcasting because it's gonna keep me. But let me try to turn it on here. Trying to get on. Count on. Tiffany, thank you for watching. Most High in Christ to everybody tuning in today. I got a great show, man. I got something lined up. Lots been going on across the nation, you know. We're here, you know, I'm going to put it down today. I have, you know, breaking it down for the brothers and sisters in the ISUPK and all of the Israel watching today. You know, we're here for the Black to Hispanic and the Native American Indian who are still struggling in captivity to this day. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to break it down today. We're going to go into them. Oh, Most High in Christ, William, man, checking in from Fresno. That's right, brother. Stay strong, brother. Stay strong, man. You know, we got a camp out there in San Jose. Check in with San Jose, man. And those brothers, good brothers up there, man. You know, they're going to start holding camp out there, brother. So stay strong. Today I'm going to go into Joel chapter 3. We're going to go through Joel chapter 3. Ephraim Rivera, Most High in Christ. I'm just trying to fix this problem with my YouTube. I don't know what's going on. It's not allowing me to open up today for some reason. I'm gonna struggle just a little bit. If I can't, I'm just gonna exit, man, and just go with the Facebook broadcast today. Okay. Tyroy, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. Okay, well, anyways, I got some interesting things to bring up today, some interesting topics. Today we're going to be reading out of the Bible. Estamos aquí para toda la gente, los negros, los hispanos, latinoamericanos, toda la gente nativa, los indios de aquí de California y todo América. Estamos aquí para ustedes, sirviéndoles. Todopoderoso nos ha traído bajo la Escuela Israelita de Sabiduría Práctica Universal del ISUPK, Commanding General Yohana. Nos ha dado el conocimiento para saber que nosotros somos los hijos del Todopoderoso. Los invitamos todos los miércoles a que nos acompañen. Recuerden, tengan su Biblia preparada. Estamos en el libro de Joel, capítulo 3. Hoy mismo vamos a dejarles saber cómo nosotros sabemos que nosotros somos los hijos escogidos del Todopoderoso. Nosotros somos Israel, ni una otra nación más que nosotros, los negros, los hispanos y los indios. Nosotros somos los hijos escogidos del Todopoderoso, ¿verdad? Pues ni modo, no, I couldn't get this thing going. Oh well, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we're going to stick with this one. All right. So today, man, we got an interesting subject, man. We've been seeing a lot of stuff going on, you know, the shooting of the young girl, we're those people, we're those hardworking people, and the Native American Indian, they were just tired of what they went through, right? They were like, man, you know what? I'd life away with a white man. You know what I'm saying? That's what they came up with. They were like, man, we will never. And you know, a lot of my black brothers, I know I got a lot of black brothers, but way before the truth, I always had black brothers, and they were always like, man, I ain't gonna go work, you know, goddamn McDonald's for no, you know, $8 or $7. They're out of their mind, man. You know, they would rather hustle and make some positions. And this is nothing new. This is how could I say, constructed. This is made like this is the way since I'm gonna say the 1900s. I got a date for it. So let me bring up a date because I'm gonna bring something interesting that you know you're gonna want to use this that I'm gonna bring up because hardcore truth. How our working conditions are set up in the like in the 1900s, early 1900s, actually 1919. Our working conditions were set up. They were set up by a corporation. This corporation was trying to figure out a way on how to keep Mexicans, the blacks, in a working state that would benefit them. Because you know the thing about these corporations, they don't want to pay you a lot of money. They always try to find some way of keeping you at a balance. You know, today I live in California, and you got to have 2 jobs, or me and my son, and we all got to work in order to be able to pay rent, pay our light bill, and you know, just to be able to survive, man. We got to have 2 jobs. You got to have, like, you know, you got to really be hustling, man, to be able to, you know, just sustain yourself. You know what I mean? And that's a sad truth that nosotros, la gente mexicana, tiene que tener varios trabajos, o toda nuestra gente tiene que trabajar en la casa para poder mantenernos, para poder tener nuestra renta o nuestro mortgage o lo que sea, ¿verdad? Para comer, para vivir. Varios tenemos que trabajar en la casa. A lot of blacks say, oh man, there's a gang of Mexicans living in that house. Well, you know, we live in the house because that's the only way we can survive. My brother works, my mom works, my dad works, my cousin works. Hey, you got cousins living in the garage. Goddamn right, I got cousins living in the garage because even they help pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? Why do we have, you know, you got nice cars and shit. Oh, you guys roll in your vehicles. Well, yeah, we roll in our vehicles, but we ain't got no house. We share the house with a gang of people. You know, that's the way it works. Once again, to all the sisters tuning in right now, we're going to go over, you know, the work program in America, how we become enslaved into a work program in what we think, you know, and the sad part is that a lot of us see our brothers and we're like, man, well, at least I make more than him. You know, at least I'm not working at McDonald's. I'm working at a Costco, or I'm working at a Sam's Club, or, you know, my job is better than his job. At least I'm not like that. You know what I'm saying? At least I got you know, I can pay my car. You know, I got a car bill while my brother is driving around in a bucket. You know what I'm saying? But we don't understand that the system has been set up where, just like in the slave days, for the blacks and the Hispanics, you know, there was always those that got paid better and those that got paid less. And they would treat the ones that got paid better a little bit better, just to make sure that they were the ones that were keeping the others in check. Even today in the police force, you know, sometimes a police officer will pull you over, and the white police officer, for some reason, is nicer to you than the own black brother or the Mexican brother cop. You know, the Mexican cop and the black cop will come at you like, you know, mad crazy because, you know, because you're his people. You know what I'm saying? Because he sees you as less. And the white cop understands that, you know what, you are less. So he ain't tripping because he already knows that his way is going to go. But the black and the Mexican cop, that's a whole different story. You know what I'm saying? Shalom Ayar Ban, Yasharala Ayar, what's happening, brother? You know what's going on, man? So, you know, so they keep us in this condition, and we mentally move into that state of mind. But there's a reason why we're like this. It didn't just happen overnight. This condition that we're in, the reason that we see things like this is because it was a system set up in a way where they knew how to construct what was going to be higher paying people and lower paying people. Not only that, but who was going to have honor and who wasn't going to have honor, and how you were going to look at your brother as how you were looking at the white man. Because we all look at the white man as someone more intelligent than us, someone more like like better than us. O sea, una persona, nosotros miramos a los gabachos como si ya no fueran personas mejores que nosotros. Miramos a nuestros propios hermanos como si fueran menos, o al menos mojados, o como tú le quieras llamar. Pero cuando se te acerca un gabacho, tú lo miras con mucho respeto, ¿verdad? Le tienes más respeto a los gabachos que lo que le tienes a tu propia gente. You have more respect for white people than you have for your own people, not knowing that your people are the ones who built this nation. America is great because of Latinos, Negros, and Indio Americanos. We built this nation. Make America great again? Well, get rid of the Europeans, right? And then you'll make this nation great again. For today, we're living under a nation that has learned to manipulate and put us in a state of thinking that we're less when we're not less. So let's go into our story. Entonces, para toda la gente que nos está viendo ahora, vamos a entrar a una forma de historia que les voy a enseñar por qué estamos en la condición que estamos, ¿verdad? Entonces, para empezar, les quiero decir a toda la gente de Latinoamérica que nos está viendo que vamos a leer del libro de Joel, capítulo 3, versículo 1. El libro de Joel se encuentra en el Viejo Testamento en su Biblia. Así que have your books ready, have your Bible ready, because I'm going to go into the book of Joel, verse 3, and I'm going to go all the way down probably to verse 10, but we're going to go through it, and I'm going to show you in the book of Joel how he's talking about our people and how the Lord has known that this is going to happen to us right off the go. So let's go into verse 3, right? So let's start with verse 3. Vamos en el capítulo 3 de Joel. And before I open up with what I'm going to show you of how this system was set up, we're going to start with this verse to get us in. So it reads like this, Joel, chapter 3, right? Verse 1. For behold, in those days, así que mira, en esos días, right? And what days is he talking about? He's talking about a future time, right? In those days, in the time away from him. And in that time, it says, behold, in those days and in that time, we're in those days and we're in that time, right? When I shall bring again the captivity of Judah, cuando yo otra vez voy a traer en captividad a Judá y a Jerusalén. It says that I'm going to bring again into captivity Judah and Jerusalem. So when were we, it says again into captivity. So we all know that we were in captivity a long time ago. We were in captivity in Babylon. We were in captivity in Egypt. We were in captivity in different times, right? We understand when we're in captivity. So we're in captivity one more time, and it says in those days, right? So this is those days that it's talking about when we're going to come back into captivity again. So now we're in captivity one more time. Black man, you're in captivity. Mexican man, you're in captivity. You're working for a pay that you can barely sustain yourself. Apenas puedes con tu renta, con tu comida, con tu carro, con tu familia. You're barely making this pay, man. You're struggling. You're living at home. You're living with your family. And let me tell you something. Don't get it wrong. There's nothing wrong with living with your family. You know, I love living with my kids, man. I honor my kids. You know, Lahab ranks higher than me, and it's an honor to live with my kid. You know, if I can have another spot where I can just move him in the back, hell, he's moving in the back with his wife, his 10 kids he's gonna have, and his 8 wives that he may have one day, right? Damn right. So there's nothing wrong with that, with living with your family. You know, we got to understand that the Lord wants us together, wants us to keep together. And if I got to move in some brothers, goddamn, I'm going to move in some brothers, right? That's what's up. So we live together for a reason. You know, a lot of people say, goddamn, so many Mexicans living in the house. Like I said before, we live in the same house because we understand that we can fit into a society and help ourselves out to be able to stay in that society. That's why if you go to Compton, you know, nowadays it's all Mexican people. Why? Because there's a whole bunch of them living under the same roof. They've been able to fix the houses up a little bit more, live in those communities, and then say, well, they have, you know, they got, I hear a lot of the fake black Israelites talking about, oh, you know, Mexicans aren't Israelites because they have it made, you know, they got businesses, they got all this. But the reality is we struggle with our businesses. Nosotros también los mexicanos estamos en una condición que estamos batallando para sostener nuestros negocios. A veces no nos cae ni una mosca en el negocio, ¿verdad? Parece que se nos va a cerrar el mundo y vamos a acabar con nuestro negocio porque no podemos pagar la renta, los biles y esto. We can't pay our bills, we can't pay our rent. We have a joint, right? We got a club, or we have a restaurant, or we have something, you know. But sometimes, you know, people just don't come in, and we're looking like, damn, we're gonna close our restaurant, we're gonna close our shop, right? I know of one spot that I love going. I love eating goat, you know, that birria. And there's a spot in Boyle Heights that I frequent a lot, me and my wife. And this spot has raised the price of the food, of the plate. And when I went there, I asked the lady, hey, you know, damn, you know, what's going on? You've been, you know, that plate's kind of, you know, high now. And she was like, well, you know, she kind of explained to me the situation. I was like, hey, nothing wrong with that. You know, I'll pay that extra. You know, if it's going to help her sustain her spot, you're damn right. I'm gonna start right there, and I'm gonna help her out. And of course, you know, if she's got to charge more, I understand exactly why she's standing. Especially us that are in the truth, we have to understand why our people, and we see a rate increase, and you know, we have to fit in, right? My landlord, I rent from a Salvadorian woman. She's actually Zebulonite, right? And I help this lady out by I got 2 checks a month, and one of my checks, my first check, which could be on mine, I choose to give her some of my first check, because she's always like, you know, I'm not making the bill, I'm not making the light, I'm not paying the water. So I help her out a little by, you know, pitching in earlier than I should my rent. You know, I don't have to, but I understand that she's in a situation, and we're all in a situation, so we got to help each other out. So I choose to do it monthly. I help her out by giving her 2 separate checks to help her out, because she makes it like that, right? So this is the way we see things. This is the way we have to do it, and we got to help each other out. You know, some of us have barracks in our area that we help out with the barracks. You know, it's important. You know, you can't give a lot, don't matter. Whatever you give helps out the brothers living at that barrack. You know, you're going to help them out. You know, $20 that you might give might be something, food on their table that week, you know, and that's important. So that's why we got to stick together and help each other out, because we're living in captivity. We're living in slavery right now. And our job is to help each other out, whether it be a brother in the truth, or whether it be, you know, a brother who owns a joint, you know, that you frequent. You know, we all go through a struggle. So this restaurant that I was talking about is in Boyle Heights. Boyle Heights, it used to be a heavy land community, you know what I'm saying? That was like gang territory. But today it's being gentrified, and they're pushing out all the Mexican people and bringing in white folks into this area and Asian into this area. And they're fighting for the gentrification of their community. you know, they have rallies, they have peace marches, they have whatever they have. You know, it's kind of useless to do it, but hey, man, you know, they're trying. So how can we help? Sometimes we go into these areas and we help. How do I help? If I go to a restaurant, man, I do not eat at McDonald's. I do not eat at any kind of corporate restaurant. When I'm gonna eat, I take myself to local spots that I understand that, you know, my people work there, my people work, you know, together. Frequent these spots. I would prefer to drop my money there. I don't go to Chinese restaurants. I don't go to Thai restaurants. They get help from their people. So let me go help my people. I'll go to the barbecue joint, get the black brothers, you know, they appreciate our help there. You know, the Mexican brothers, they appreciate our help there. The Salvadorians, pupusas, man, love pupusas, you know, whatever you can, you know, whatever you can do. We help each other out unconsciously and without knowing we are doing this, but yet we're helping our people out in a struggle that we live today, what's known as slavery, right? So once again, in Joel 3:1, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. So who's Judah? Of course, Judah are my black brothers. All the black people that live in America, they're known as Judites. That's the true nature of these people. They're the true ancestors of Judah, of the 12 tribes of Israel. And when it says Jerusalem, well, of course, it's talking about the whole nation of Israel. That's Jerusalem. That's all of us. All the rest of the 12 tribes, the 11 tribes that are left, Issachar, Zebulun, Asher, who else, man? Benjamin, Levi, Simeon. Well, I'll go through the whole thing, but you know what I'm saying. So it says we're going to go into captivity. So what kind of captivity are we going in through today? So this is where my topic is going to come in. Today's captivity was a captivity that's been modified, it's been perpetrated by man, right? They created this, and I'm going to prove to you that these are the people that created it. So I'm going to bring it up. It was the beginning of the corporation. Corporation started way before then, right? The Transact was actually the first corporation. That's the first time that other nations participated in what it was a corporate of different nations coming in to sell our people. First, the Mexicans were sold. You know, Mexicans were never slaves. Yeah, we were slaves before the Judites were slaves. Before the black man was sold in America, the Mexicans were sold across seas. The poor lived on a slave on a boat, and we were making it. We weren't strong enough. We were dying out. We were even finished. You know, a lot of that, you know, stories. You know, I go through my Aztec books that I have back here. Women or Aztec women or Mexica, Mayan, or whatever you want to call it, women were raped and they took their own lives. They were not gonna stand for what was happening to them. They would kill themselves. There's plenty of stories and poetry about is going to go into a time when they were trying to figure to do it slavery, right? Because before throwing them in the ban, but then it became a problem that they couldn't have slaves like that. So what did they do? They had to become ingenious way to have slavery without it sounding like it was slavery, right? And so in the 1920s, and I'm going to go into the corporation that started it. It was known as the United Fruit Company. And you've heard me speak about this company, the fruit company, because it was doing is they were taking the land from the Latin American people, and what they were doing is that they were putting farms out there. They were putting with the banana farms, and this was the new slavery, right? But he's and this is this. I'm going to read a little bit, and then we're going to go back to the book of Job 3, verse 1. Remember, chapter the blacks and the Hispanics and the Native American Indians. So let's go into Washington, and this is written. Man, this is not too old. 2014, right? Okay. So. Poison? Oh no, man, that's poison. Should I buy Coca-Cola knowing that it cleans the bathroom? No, man, that it cleans batteries. You're using thinking, you'd be like, hell no, I ain't gonna buy that, right? So let's continue. So remember, before then, it was rational thinking. People thought rationally, not their emotions. So we're seeing that now they're gonna go and advertise not for how you rationally think, but how you emotionally think, right? So the United Fruit hired scientists to author positive reviews about bananas, whether they were true or not. Once again, the white man lying, right? Was obviously today we know that bananas are good for us, right? But back in the early 1900s, there was no way for these scientists to determine the nutritional value and other properties they claim to have researched. So here is the lie, right? It is that that they're saying things that they know aren't true. So today, when you buy drugs, over-the-counter drugs, they're actually saying things that they know are not true. You know, I heard that they'll bring out a drug, and as soon as something starts going wrong, they'll take the drug off the shelf, relabel it, and put it back on the shelf to help something else. So if you had kidney failure and the drug was not really helping the kidney, they'll take it off, bring it back, and then they'll say it'll help you for, I don't know, for a headache or for something completely different. So what they do is they're just bringing different ideas or their own thinking that it might help in something else, but it's never true. So let's continue. So it says, however, the American people appeared to have believed the scientists, for the United Fruits banana sales began to soar. So what you're seeing here is that they're bringing in subtly a way to make people think that something is good and people are actually believing it. So let's find out who did this, because this is not just no ordinary person who could come up with such a great scheme in the plan of everything. And if you're in a college or if you're in a university and you're studying for advertisement, you know the name of the person I'm about to mention, because in all your college dissertations and everything, you're going to learn about this man. Beginning in the 1920s, the article continues to read, the propaganda Edward Bernays changed the American advertising forever. So the United States used Edward Bernays in the 1920s. Mexicans weren't being advertised to. Blacks were not being advertised to. These people were advertising to the white population, to white America. The target, the general target of advertisement was for white America. So if you go back and you look at TV in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, there's no black advertisement. There's white advertisement. Everybody on TV is white. All the shows are white. All the news is white. Everything that was going on was white biased, white based. everything was white. There was no Mexican or black people did not have programs. Possibly one or two slipped in there, right? That Soul Train, right? That might slip in there, but in reality, it was all white based. I think in the late 70s and 80s, I think there was more black programming, right? Channel 13 or Channel 11 in our area had a lot of black programming. I remember seeing after school programs, Fat Albert and, Good Times and different programming like that started coming in. But it was all really everything else, white advertisement. That's what it was, So let's continue reading. So Bernays discovered that targeting people's emotions instead of their logic caused people to flock to the product. So what are they doing? They're manipulating the mind. They're learning on how to aim at people's emotions instead of aim at people's logic. Today, that's what's happening with our president. They're aiming at people's emotions and not at the logic. If you would logically think about it, Mexicans bringing help to bring the food from the fields onto the table. Using logic, you would say, well, these people should get paid a little more, be treated better, have a better way of life because they're the ones that are feeding us. How about black folks? You would think, you know what? These people have a lot of talent. They have plenty of good to them. We should give these people, a different point of logically, help them and get them out of the ghettos, give them good jobs because they're smart, intelligent beings, Let's get them in higher positions, as a majority, not only single out one or two, but as a majority. But instead, what do? They use emotions. They're using the emotion of discrimination, of hate against our people, the Black, the Hispanic, and the Native American Indian. That's the way that this advertisement has started with Edward Bernays, and they've been using it ever since that day. They go on people's emotions. They don't go on people's logic. The wars that are being brought to America, Vietnam was a war on emotions, not a war on logic. It was a war on emotions. Emotionally, they were making people think that this is what was going on, and people believed it. How about the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan? These words they use, once again, people's emotion. These are the enemies. These are people that are doing this and that. And emotionally, the white America got all crazy. We're going to go to war. How about 9/11? I can't say it was a conspiracy, right? Because we don't work on conspiracies. But when you use the logic to what's happening, how could that be, right? But instead, what America did, they used the advertisement campaign, the news, the media, and what they do, they went on and attacked your emotional side. And when they attacked your emotional side, automatically you started to believe that all this that's happening is real when it's not real. It's an emotional attack. Why? Because a long time ago in the 1920s, American corporations learned how to market onto people's emotional side instead of using their logical side. And that's why we're reading this article that is based on how America began its corporations and how they learned how to market. Before the 1920s, people would buy logic. When you bought something, you would be like, does it work or doesn't it work? Well, it works. They tell you, hey, you know what? It helps for this, this, and this. And logically, you'd be like, oh, hell yeah. But they would tell you, get into your emotions. You know, they would tell you, hey, logically, this works. So let's continue. So Bernays thought that, so this man, Bernays, he's the one who initiated this and helped this company by the name of United Fruit Company to establish and put together a way of marketing emotionally to the American public and making them buy what they wanted to. And so let me move down a little bit, because now it goes into, the article goes into, well, I'm going to read it. Bernays discovered that targeting people's emotions instead of their large flock to their product. So that's the way the corporations have learned to sell to you. You know, when you go in October, when you go into the store, into some market, you know, what are you seeing? Christmas coming around the corner. And emotionally, most people who celebrate Christmas, emotionally, they're like, oh, Christmas is here. They get all emotional, Christmas music all around, the jingles, the bells, and man, you get all emotional that here comes Christmas, or you get all emotional, here comes Valentine's Day, or you get all emotional, 4th of July, and you're out, you know, getting caught up in this whole marketing scheme that they have, that they target your emotion and not your logic. Logically, Christmas is a goddamn heathen holiday, right? And that we shouldn't even be celebrating. So use logic. Hell no, I ain't gonna celebrate no goddamn Christmas. So, oh, sorry, salakin you. So it says, Bernays discovered that targeting people's emotions instead of their logic caused people to flock to their product. His first experiment, now get this, his first experiment in this type of advertisement was for the American Tobacco Company, right? So this was where he first began to really go all out and do this. And remember, the tobacco companies had a grip on society all the way to the year 2000, right? They were fighting to close these companies down because they were selling poison to the people. But yet they were selling poison in a way that it was all good, all cool to smoke, you know, Mr. Coolio smoking a cigarette, you know, whatever, you know, and they were targeting kids by using cartoon characters that teenagers were getting into smoking. You know, they used it in TV. They were like, oh, you know, man, they're cool by smoking. They seen people smoking on TV, you know, James Dean or whoever the hell it was, and you wanted to go out and smoke. Once again, the campaign of advertisement. So let's continue. So Bernays thought that cigarette sales would skyrocket if it was socially acceptable for women to smoke. So this man goes on a campaign to prove that what he's thinking about is 100%, right? So Bernays thought that cigarettes, okay, for women to smoke. So at an important women's rights march in New York City, Bernays had a woman light a cigarette in front of reporters and call it a torch of freedom. There we go, America with their freedom, right? This is what, and we all know in the ISUPK that this right here is what happened to black women and Chicano women too. You know, we ain't too far behind. But what was it? Freedom, women's rights, women's freedom. Oh, be free, be this, be that, and destroy the black woman, the black household, right? Destroy the Chicano woman, and all why? Because it was a freedom. Well, look at here. He did it. He started right here. he proved that he could make women stay just by smoking. God damn, you're gonna get emphysema, you're gonna get cancer, you're gonna die, but you're free to die. Let the white women die, man. Our brothers and sisters, we can't be falling. But here's the freedom that they're talking about. This man said the torch of freedom, lit it up, and in front of Time magazine, they published it all across the nation, and pretty soon you had women smoking all goddamn day everywhere. And what happened? The price of cigarettes soared. Cigarette sales soared. It became a national thing to smoke, and they had a celebration, you know what I'm saying? And so it said, soon women all over the United States were smoking cigarettes. After this initial public relations stunt, now that's what they call it, public relations. Just to let you know, it's not in this article, but I know that Edward Bernays became the public relations man or the public relations man for the United States across all of Latin America. He was the man who created the public relations for all corporations across Latin America, and we'll go into that a little bit more. But after this initial public relations stunt, companies all over America began using emotionally loaded advertising, and United Fruit Company was no different. So just to begin with, let's find out that the way that you're being marketed today, or the way you think today, is because America or the goddamn Edomites learned a way to control your mind by using your emotions. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's how you know that, you know, the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. I mean, who else would do something like that? The American Indian, they didn't do that. The black man didn't do that. Mexicans or people in Latin America, they didn't do that. You know, it took these people to come over, Edward Bernays, and do that. And Edward Bernays is the nephew to man, I can't think of his name, but this guy was a German. And I'm gonna, man, you know what? I'm gonna bring it out because it may be relevant to what we're talking about here, right? Edward Bernays' uncle. Anybody know it? Bring it up. Let me see who's Edward Bernays' uncle. Let's see. Edward Bernays, his uncle was Sigmund Freud. Damn it, you know it. Sigmund Freud. And Sigmund Freud was just another, you know, one of those people who and Sigmund Freud was Austrian, right? And I'm gonna say that I'm not too keen on it, but I know that Sigmund Freud, he was part of the Austrian Empire because he was Austrian. But remember who else was Austrian? Adolf Hitler was Austrian. And Adolf Hitler was the father of propaganda. Well, where did he get the propaganda from? Very simple. Sigmund Freud helped the propaganda that was moving in Hitler's time also. They were taught to do this. These people were taught. Now, who are the Germans, right? The men of Teman, the mighty men of Teman, right? Who were, what were they? He was, they were, the mighty men of Teman were like men of wisdom. That's what it was. The men of wisdom. Now I remember. So eventually Sigmund Freud, he left Austria because he was fleeing from the Nazis, right? But you know, that's something else. Sigmund Freud has a good history. On some other time, I'll go into it and get into Sigmund Freud's history. Today, we're learning about this here, about the captivity of Judah in this. Okay, so now we've established in our first part that this campaign that the United Fruit Company launched on Latin America was devised by Edward Bernays, right? This is who devised this plot. So the plot thickens. Let me go into what they did, because once again, if we go into the book of Joel, chapter 1, verse 3, and behold, in those days, right? And in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, right? So they brought us into captivity, and this is what they did to us. This is how they managed to control us and make us think that, of course, that America is above everybody, right? And I'm going to read to you what they did to us as a nation, because what they did to us is you know, man, you won't believe it. What I'm about to go into is something really, really deep that I'm going to show you how they were, how to manipulate how they are, how we see them today, how we view the white man today. I'm going to show you how they did it to brainwash us throughout all these decades, through all these centuries, and how we think they are above us, and why we think they are above us, and they are a greater nation than us. But I'm going to show you that what they did was, once again, what they do, they manipulated our emotions, that to this day we still are in that state of mind. And you know, they did that to the black man. They would beat the black man in front of other black men. They would rape black men in front of other black men. For us, the Mexicans, what they do, they would slice our children up with their swords in front of us, for we would know that they would do that to us. They would slice our mighty men and kill them in front of us. They would hang 12 Aztecs under fire and alive, and they would cut them up while they were still alive and then begin to burn them. And they would do that to emotionally destroy us, emotionally disturb us. And that's why we had so much fear of the white man. That's why we're in the condition we're in, because this that they didn't start in 1920. It started long before that. So let me go into the next part. In our next part, I'm going to show you what happened during this slave trade. And this is going to go in deep. So, you know, stay real close to what I'm saying. And if you want to know what this is actually the Washington University, and this is a paper they bring out known as Blood for Bananas, United Fruit Company's Central American Empire. That's the name of this article. Okay, so let me go on, all right? So this is what Edward Bernays did in order to manipulate what was going on in America against Latin America, against the people of Honduras, against the people of Guatemala. Para toda mi gente latina, lo que estoy hablando ahorita es una cosa bien interesante, porque esto que estoy hablando es lo que le pasó a nuestra gente en el tiempo de cuando los bananeros, y cómo usó Estados Unidos, ¿cómo se dice? Una campaña de advertimiento, de estarnos diciendo cómo eran las cosas, cómo nosotros teníamos que ver las cosas, y nos usaban nuestros, ¿cómo se dice? Nuestras emotions para poder controlarnos. Y ahorita vamos a entrar a eso para enseñarles cómo es que ellos hicieron eso. So let's continue, right? So the article continues to read, and this part of it is, I'm going to go into the second part. It's going to show you what it is they did to make us think that they were greater than us. So I'm going to continue reading right now. Give me 1 second here. You know, once again, appreciate everybody watching and staying tuned. You know, I'm going to continue. Give me 1 second. I'm just kind of loading up here a little bit because I seem to be having some issues with my charger here, but no sweat. I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so let's go on. Here we go. So it goes on to say they launched an advertising campaign revolving around their new cruise liner called the Great White Fleet. So what they do, they made these boats and they called them the Great White Fleet. Here we go with the word white, right? The cruise liner sailed civilians to the United Fruit controlled countries in Central and South America to appeal to Americans' sense of adventure. Not Mexicans, not Native Indians, not black people. They were pointing at who? At the white population, at the sense of adventure. Good reputation is doing something to control and manipulate the emotions of the American people, right? When the cruise liner stopped in the country, tourists would only be shown small areas of the banana plantation. Theatrically set up, present the plantation as a harmonious workplace. You see that? Our people were in harsh condition and corruption. our people were not working in good conditions. What they were doing, just like the time of the railroads here in America in the 1950s, when I talk about an exotic adventure with the Great White Fleet. The fly described Central America as land of pirates and Rome, making it look like something, you know, ooh, you know, people like Disneyland, right? They make you as a world of, you're gonna have fun, the happiest place on the planet, on Earth. But if you ask people who work there, man, I've heard it's a pedophile ring, right? I heard that worst place to work, as well as you think they are. They're in the day, you know, you got to come to work at a certain time, be there at a certain time, or you're fired, right? You know, so there's no condition, ain't no happy land there for the people who work there. Maybe for you that are gonna go spend your money there and waste your time, but for the people working there, that's not a great place. So it says the advertisement even portrays it as a place where pirates hide their gold. Wow, you know, pirates hid their gold here in Guatemala, in Honduras, in these places. And what do people think? Oh, you know, that's fantastic. I want to go there and see it. By giving American tourists a false sense of romanticism of Central America, they sold more cruise tickets, and through association, more. See that they do. This is the way they're doing it, to manipulate and to make this thing on Earth. That's the way they manipulate people today, right? Advertisement campaign, by subtle advertisement that makes you think that you're that this is going to be good for you, but yet it's not. So let's continue. United. This is where it gets good, because now I'm going to go into the third part. Is, you know, how they treated our workers, and this is going to be the last part, because then I'm going to go into the Bracero program and the history of the largest mass deportation of immigrants in history in America. Okay, so it says the United Fruit's unethical practices extended far beyond their manipulative advertisement. So these people, not only were they fooling people, but they also had our people in slavery, right? They were also well known for their extremely racial politics in the workplace. You see that? Extremely racial politics in the workplace. What is that? The lighter-skinned Mexican against the darker-skinned Mexican. The lighter-skinned black man against a darker-skinned black man. And let me tell you something. Honduras and Guatemala and those areas, they have black folks there. And they have light brown folks there. So those countries are a mixed skin color, because why? During the transatlantic slave trade, that's where all the slaves were going to. All Judites were going, all the work for their extremely racial politics in the worst place. They had employees from many different racial groups. Now, the racial groups you're talking about is not Chinese, Japanese, Germans. No, they're talking about native Indian to that culture, black people who were coming from other places, Mexican people who were brought there, the Aztec, the Mayan, those people. And those are the groups of people that they're talking about when they say racial groups. Not no Chinese, not no goddamn, you know, that we're talking about Hispanic, Native American Indian. And so it says, and they would pit them against one another to control revolts that would otherwise be aimed at the company. You see that? They would pit them against each other. They did that during the transatlantic slave trade, blacks, and they would pit the black man against the darker, the smart black against the dumb black, the black that was over there picking cotton against the black that was living inside the house. They were putting us against each other. Didn't stop during after slavery. It continued into the workplace, into the corporations. That's what we see today in our corporations. So let's continue. it said that would otherwise be aimed at the company. American whites would get the most prestigious jobs. Now, why they say American whites? Because let me tell you something. The plantations were run not by our own people. They would have the plantations out in Guatemala, and they would take white people from here to run those plantations. That's what they were doing. They would take our people from here, and they would go out there, and you know what? They would have them out there making sure that we were doing the right work, that we weren't rising up, that we weren't stealing, that we weren't doing anything. They wouldn't put our own people. They would put their. So let's continue. White American whites would get most of the prestigious jobs, like manager. People are hard today in our workplace. The people in all those high places, they're all the white people, man. Those are the people that you work under, that you're taking orders from. I know for a fact that I'm taking orders from people that are, white people that give me orders. And hey, you know what? I'm in slavery. You know what? I work as a proud Mexican man. I do the job that they tell me. Hey, just go do that. Hell yeah, man. I'm gonna go do that. You know, I never raise a voice against the people that are there, because why? Man, I'm in captivity. The Lord put me here for a reason. I'm in the condition, you're in the condition because of our own fault. Because us as a nation, we could not follow the Lord's law, statutes, the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments. That's why we're here like that. Situation we're in. I'm gonna work tomorrow and be like, man, goddamn white man, you did it. No, man, you're in the own fault. Because you were out eating, sleeping with your brother's wife. That's why we're in the condition that we're in. Because you were smoking weed, brother. Because you were a crackhead, you know. I mean, because you know what? I was one of those people that were just like that too, you know. So what happened? That today, hey man, I'm in the ISUPK. I realized that man, in my past, man, I was just, you know, just wasn't right. So I'm gonna get myself right. I'm gonna come into completely different. Where can I find it? Right here in the book. Bring it up. Continue. So, so it goes on to say, American white prestigious jobs like managers, while people of color got the hard labor, la mano de obra que le dicen a la gente mexicana, latinoamericana, nosotros somos la mano de gente de las Américas. We continue, and then it says, he made a rigged and West Indian workers, right between Hispanic and West Indian workers. You're talking about a corporation that established itself in Honduras, in Guatemala, but yet they have West Indies and they have Hispanic. Who is that? Issachar, and who else? Man, of course, man, Manasseh, Zebulun, Simeon, Levi, Benjamin, hello, all of us there, right? So this article, remember, this Washington State University, I'm reading an article out of Washington State University. This is not coming out of my mouth. I'm not inventing any of this. I'm reading as they wrote it. So that's like it. So the company made a rigged distinction. Now rigged means, man, they made it hard. They made sure that this was what it was, right? A rigged distinction between Hispanics and West Indian, give privileges and punishment to each ethnic group as a whole. Now you know, salvation is individual. I'm saved. Let me tell you something. The Lord is punishing your nation, not you. The Lord is going after all of your nation. Be wrong, not as an individual, but I got to bring my nation to wake up. Our purpose here in the ISUPK: bring our nation up, wake our nation up, get us back into this, get us back into the right as a 12 tribes of Israel. So let's make sure that we understand that they understand that too. This Washington State University article tells you that when these people were making up their corporate log or corporate rules, would give privileges and punishments to each ethnic group. If you were Salvadoreño, your whole, if you were from the West Indies, your whole group was punished. If you were Mexican, your whole group was punished. They didn't say, well, just this one guy or this one guy or this one guy is going to get punished. Hell no. They punished all your people. They made sure that if you were stealing a goddamn banana or if you were sleeping on the job, part of your group, your ethnic group was going to be punished, man. So let's go on. They would give privileges and punishment to each ethnic group as a whole. If one group got rewarded, the managers would tell them it was because they worked harder. Manipulative, huh? These are manipulative people, manipulating the way you think. Right away, what Edward Bernays had put into practice of emotionally taking advertisement to another level, that's what they were doing here too. They did the same, emotionally taking your people work hard, but you black people are lazy, or you black people are super intelligent, but Mexicans are dumb, or Salvadoreños, man, they're lazy, but Mexicans are hard. Guatemalans don't work as hard as Salvadoreños. Once again, manipulating our way of thinking against each other. We're seeing our brothers and our sisters and our life because someone has taught us to be like that. They've taught us to different people, one nation, the nation of Israel. And shalom to everybody, man. This is a great show, State University, and what I'm reading is how they came up with separating us as nations, separately treated us as slaves in the early 90s. Day in our time, we're still being affected by this advertisement campaign that Edward Bernays brought up, and it's taught all corporations that you work under today, your job, your slavery, and that's why they have you the way they have you. And I'm breaking it down why the white man is above you and black people, Mexicans, and we have the labor jobs. This is what it is. So let me continue. So it says they would give privileges and punishments to each ethnic group as a whole. If one group got rewarded, the managers would tell them it was because they worked harder than the other group. But if the punishment was administrated, they would say it was that the other group's fault. Let me scroll down. But if punishment was administrated, they would say it was the other group's fault. So check this. If somebody punished you, right? If your group was not working hardcore, they wouldn't say because your buddy didn't work. They would say because you know what? That group over there, man, they were they said that you don't work. These black folks are saying these Mexican, all this group of Mexicans are lazy, and so we got to punish you because they said that. And so what would the Mexicans think? Oh, hell no, man. Those negros, man, they're dropping dimes on us. They're making us look bad. You know, man, forget what we do. We begin to hate on these people because taskmaster or manager, because they're not taskmasters, they move from taskmaster to what? To managers. That's the word they're giving them now. What would they just said about our people today, man? That's why we lost our break. That's why we got paid less. That's why we had to come in early, because those black people are saying that about our group, man. And the Salvadorians be like, you know what? Those Mexicans are talking about us, and that's why we got punished. So what would you do? Your people would click up and be like, you know what? Hell no, bro. Those Mexicans ain't gonna say that about us. Or the blacks would be like, hell no, those Salvadoranians are talking about us. And that's the way that they learn to turn us against each other. In our own jobs, they were using it as a weapon against our each culture. You know, they were teaching us to come against each other. Manipulative lies that they were saying about one group and another. So I get it that what they would do is they would put groups. Where are you from? Well, I'm Mexican. Okay, you're in that group. From the West Indies. Okay, you're in this group. Where are you from? Well, I'm from Central America. Okay, you're in this group. And then they break those groups down. And then what they would do, start to pin these groups against each other. How? Punish them. If they do something, if they don't work hard, let's tell them the black people are snitching on them. Or let's tell them that Salvadorians snitch on them And this way, they would, so, right? This gave the two groups something to focus their anger on. So they didn't revolt against the company to listen to they focused on anger against each other instead of thinking about, look at the conditions, look at how we are, instead of thinking about the logical thing that we're Christians. We were trying to know these dudes over here, you know, man, we're angry at them. We're so emotionally angry at each other that we don't have time to think rationally about what they're doing to us. You know what I'm saying? Today on the streets, man, blacks and Hispanics, but we're not thinking rationally that they're pitting us against each other by doing this. You know, here in LA, it was no fact that police officers were going to neighborhoods on the black people, and vice versa. And they is the views on the streets today against us, against ourselves, in our workplace. I work at this place. He get paid less. He's not wearing Nikes. I'm wearing Nikes. Man, they're each other, man. They're doing that, and they're seeing against each other and destroy each other because together as one. Man, it's no different. Get out of there. Come into the ISUPK. Come into the home of the brother. Learn this truth, and you know what? And become one nation again. Let's continue. So it goes on to say, the United Fruit used the Great White Fleet to go, right? This is real interesting. They're using the Great White Fleet. The Great White Fleet is a boat. This boat was named the Great White, was transporting white people to see the plantation as if it was some, you know, great place to be, some paradise, some Pirate's Cove, a great adventure. And that's what they were using it for. They were using it to manipulate white people. Then they thought, well, let's go further and use that same boat to manipulate people in another way. So let's go on. United Fruit used the Great White Fleet to further their racial tensions. If the name was not obvious enough, the Great White Fleet, all the ships were painted bright white, and all the crew members wore pristine white uniforms. Huh? What do you think about that? If white isn't enough, they got even whiter. Their clothes was white, their boats were white, their goddamn chocolate ice cream was white, right? The fleet went so far as to encourage the passengers to wear white. Man, you know what I'm saying? This is advertisement manipulation that has affected us since the 1900s all the way to today. That's why we love white people. PI in the mind throughout all generations to love white. Here we go on. The fleet went so far as to encourage the passengers to wear white. The advertisement to the left, oh, I'm sorry, that's a picture I'm looking at. It says, further embodies the racial tensions experienced by the Americans and the fruit laborers. So what you're seeing here, what I'm looking at is a boat. This boat is a Great White Fleet boat that they're showing here. The large white American ship dwarfed the small rundown brown ships. So the small ships were brown, while the huge ships were white. You see that? What they were doing is they're showing you how white is better. It was always better to be white. White boat, white clothes, white everything. If it's white, it's right. Right? At least that's what they're saying. So let's go on. The large white American ship dwarfed the small run-down brown ships. Funny, right? Brown ships. You know why not black? Because no one is black. There is no black man. That's the name they've given you. We're all different shades of brown. The carnelian stone, which in the book of Revelation tells us that the color of the Lord, is a brown, dark brown, almost looking like black, but we're all brown, of shades of different colors of brown, right? melanin, right? So symbolizing the power and the prestige the whites had over the locals. There you go. So the ship would come in, and right away, brown, black people would be like, God damn, here comes that white ship. Ooh, the white ship, the great white ship, right? The great white shark. God damn, right? Symbolizing the power and the prestige of the white had over the locals. The Central Americans in the ship, if you could only ship, like, oh wow, they're like in amazement off of this great big white ship. So they made sure that all around to give that impression of how mighty the white man is, right? So it says you know, and are dressed in tropical garb to satisfy the need to appeal to the American people, idolized versions of the topic. So advertisement campaign that Edward Bernays made, what he did is he showed great American people and all of us dressed in these raggedy clothes with these hats, you know, brown skin, little brown chips, you know. And goddamn, man, you know, I'm gonna see if I can bring it out here and show you guys what we're talking about, man. I'm gonna try it. Okay, you guys bear with me because I want you to see what I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying? Because shoot, why not? You see, it turns around. We made it. Aha! There you go. You see, that's the picture we're looking at. That's the Great White Fleet. Look how it looks. And look, see this little ship? This is what they look like. And see this? These are the people right here. Dwarf, man, compared to us, right? The Great White Ship. So that's the page that they're showing in this book that I'm reading, right? So so that's what they did, you know, and all the ships and everything, they were different size than the white ships. The white ships were much larger than ours, right? So it symbolized the power and prestige that the whites had over the locals. Central Americans, right? Let me roll down a little bit. Okay, so and are dressed in tropical. This is not only the advertisement, but the work of. This is not only an advertisement, but a work of propaganda. So what we're seeing there is a work of propaganda. Propaganda is what they use to. Oh shit. Okay. Salakia. Propaganda is what they use to do that to us, to make sure that we understood that they were a bigger influence to us. White people, white everything was a bigger influence to us than our own people were influenced to us. So that's the story I wanted to get into. I wanted to show you that the United Fruit Company and their how they exploited the white, how they exploited the whole thing of how massive white is compared to brown or black or whatever other color you want to call it, and how they were beyond everybody else, right? So so this is the propaganda that was initiated against us. So what we see here in the article I read, propagations in Latin America, and what it was is that they did slavery in an area. They didn't stop for the black man, but it continued for the Mexican and the Central American people. So out of slavery and right back into slavery. Again, the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, we're looking at today. We're back in captivity. This time, emotional captivity. We right back to where we're at. We're right reading Joel 2 and 3. I will also gather all the nations and bring back, and I will plead with them there for my people. So what is the valley of Jehoshaphat? You know what the valley is. That's where World War III is going to take place. And the Lord is bringing these today. That's why you're seeing this war in Jerusalem, right? In what is that? Syria. That's why you're seeing the war. The Lord is slowly bringing these people into where, you know, He's gonna make you release His people. Who are His people? The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who's gonna release. And you know what? You know, they ain't people and parted my lands. So You know who got scattered? It's Mexican Americans, man. We're going everywhere. We're scattered among all nations. And let me tell you something. Salvadoranians have their land. Well, no, Salvadoranians don't know this. El Salvador is run by Palestinian government. That's who runs El Salvador. Palestine owns El Salvador. This is a government that's run by Palestinians. This has been known for a long time. They started the revolution there in order to take out the American government, or the Spanish government, the Spanish government, and establish their government there. And to this day, the president that's running there now is actually Palestinian, or Lebanese. I'm sorry, Lebanese. That's what they are. They're Lebanese. They're actually there running the Lebanese government there. And how about Mexico? Mexico is not run by Mexicans. Mexico is run by the Spaniards, by corporations that run that country. Same with all of Central America. That's why you see this war in Venezuela. That's why you see this war in other countries, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to oust those governments that they know are not their governments. They know they're not their people. They know that they're not them. You know why Puerto Rico is in the situation that it's in? Because once again, Puerto Rico, they weren't being run by their people. Their politicians were siding with, American politicians. How if there was really their country, it wouldn't be in the condition that it's in today. After that hurricane, it still hasn't recovered. I thought it was in one of the states of America. I thought it was a 51st state or something like that, right? Well, obviously it's not. How do you know? Because they're in the condition that they're in. Why? Because it's not their country. Just like Mexico is not our country, Central America is not your country, and South America is fighting for them to be their country. But we won't see that, right? And it says, verse 3, Joel, chapter 3, verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold the girl for wine that they might drink. So let me add to what we're talking about, because what we saw here is how our people were put into plantations to suffer, right? To work, la mano de obra, lo que le decimos nosotros en los Estados Unidos, los mexicanos somos la mano de obra. We're the working hands for these white people. But let me tell you something, it goes deeper than that, because not only are we the working people for them, but they have taken our children. You know that this is true, that what they've done is they sold our children. The rings that they have, what is that? The child laboring, the child pornography, all this is affecting our people. This trafficking that has been going on for a long time. Our children have been trafficked both in sex and in labor abuse. Human trafficking has been established. Not only, you didn't only come here to work, but your children were being taken from you and put into these trafficking rings. Today, it's a fact. Today, it's still there. Today, that thing going on where they got the traffic known as trafficking ring. And I'm going to bring it out to the point, right? So there we go. Let me bring it. And I got this article here. This is what happened, right? So our people are coming here to work. They bring some of the children. Not all of us see our children, right? They're put into exactly they're put into the sex ring, right? Last year, the federal agency lost track of 1,475 migrant children. This is AP, right? This is the Associated Press. This is a news article that came out of the Associated Press, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it right now. It says federal officials lost track of nearly 1,500 migrant children last year after the government agency placed the minors in the homes of adult sponsors in communities across the country, according to testimony before the Senate subcommittee on Thursday. So check this out, what's happening. That our children are being brought over here with intention to put them in schools, put them to work, and give them a good life, but in reality, they're bringing them over here from El Salvador, from Guatemala, from Central America. And these children, just in particular, were kids that were brought from El Salvador, right? So let me continue here, because this gets a little bit deeper than that. Okay, so not only are we for these people, but our children, like it says, and they cast lots for my people. That's us. I'll take these wetbacks. I'll take these corporations are saying, I'll take these wetbacks and taking us and putting us to work for pennies. Let me tell you something. The program in 1942 was paying cents an hour to work out here during the program. They were bringing people out here in 1942, and they were paying cents. And let me tell you, working on were pitiful, man. That was slave conditions, and I'm going to go into that a little bit more. So, and it says, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold the girl for wine. You know what? It's sold them for wine, man. That's like, you know, like nothing, man. That's like nothing. So let me go on with this, okay? Federal officials came under fire 2 years ago after rolling back child protection policies meant for minors fleeing violence in Central America, El Salvador, right? In a follow-up hearing on Thursday, senators said that the agency had failed to take full responsibility for their care and had delayed crucial reforms needed to keep them from falling into the hands of human traffickers. So let me tell you something. The American government damn well knows that these kids are falling into the hands of child trafficking, of sex trafficking. They know that that's going on, right? So let me get down to the point. Here it is. An AP investigation, the Associated Press investigation, found in 2016 that more than 24 unaccompanied children had been sent to homes where they were sexually assaulted, starved, or forced to work for little or no pay. At the time, many adult sponsors didn't undergo thorough background checks. Check that out. They're putting our children into homes without background checks. But you try to get a job, man, oh, you got a felony, bro. Oh, you stole the candy bar. Man, they're going back and finding that you did something in a background check that you're like, come on, brother, that's damn candy bar. So you know what? They failed today when it comes to your children, to Central American, Native Indian, and Black kids, man. They, you know, you went to the Passover, he mentioned about that Black kid, right, that was put into the home of that white woman, and that white woman abused him and then murdered him. Man, that's shameful. Commanding General Johanna is the Most High in Christ that he's brought us to this truth that we can speak out about the atrocities happening to our people. That was what happened to. The one I'm talking about are Central American children. And why? Because they've given our boys for a harlot. You know, what is a harlot? Become a horse. And sold our children for wine, our daughters. Man, they're taking our daughters and they're giving them away for free, bro. That's what's happening here. So let me continue. The parents or other adult sponsors who are expected to care for the children and help them to attend school while seeking legal status and immigration. So, and didn't undergo thorough background checks. Government officials rarely visited homes. Man, let me tell you something. Government officials rarely visited homes. But you know what? You hate your child because he's out there putting herself on the internet, being naked, and man, social services comes to your door immediately because you put the belt to her ass. You know why? Because she deserves it. Because what does the Lord says? You know, you gotta put, you gotta, what is that? You gotta put the belt to your daughter. You know, you gotta make sure that they understand, right? So, and in some cases, had no idea that sponsors had taken several unrelated children, a possible sign of human trafficking. So, what's going on here? Not only are they getting rid of the children that they sponsored, but man, they're going out and getting children that the government don't even know about, right? 1,500 kids that they know about. Who knows how many others are used for this other purpose? You know, human trafficking, sex, man. Do I dare say it? Satanic rituals, right? That's what it goes. So they did this. They did this to these kids, man, and they know they're doing this to the kids. But you know what, man, they ain't doing the goddamn thing. But you know what they are doing? They're shooting a young lady who's 20 years old, you know, for being illegal. That agent shot her and killed her when she only came over here to find a job to help her education, right? They'll do that, but they won't be able to take track of these kids that they put them, in there. So Portman began investigating after a case in his home state of Ohio where 8 Guatemalan teens were placed with human traffickers and forced to work on egg farms. under threats of death. 6 people have been convicted and sentenced to federal prison for their participation in trafficking schemes that began in 2013. Let me tell you something. That's shameful. You know that these people are doing that to our children. Human trafficking in all sorts, right? Putting them to work, sexual exploitation. You know what I'm saying? Different types of things that they're doing with our kids. And that's why, what they say, chapter Joel, I told you I was going to read in this book of Joel, and how the Lord has already mapped out what's happening to our people, the Black, the Hispanic, and the Native American Indian. And they have cast lots for my people. Man, they want us to come and work here. They'll pay us to come and work here. They're casting lots for Black people to play in the football teams, in the basketball teams. They're all throwing in their money to see who gets the best players, for they can get those awards. And what do they do in the end? Because you put a knee, because you don't want to sit down, they boot you out. And giving a boy for a harlot, they're trafficking our children, man. They're selling our children. You know, they're putting them in these sex farms. They're putting them in these work programs where they don't even pay them, man, right? And sold a girl for wine that they might drink. You know what I'm saying? They get drunk off of our bad results, you know, out of what happens to us, man. So human trafficking, you know, it's something that's been going on, and everybody knows that it's true. I got another article. This one comes from CNN. It says human trafficking has gained increased awareness in recent years. Media coverage such as CNN's Freedom Project, an influential book like Kevin Bell's The Slave Next Door, have put human trafficking on the forefront of humans. The approach that has been most publicized is the one present in human trafficking as a practice similar, if not equal, to slavery. Our children are becoming slaves in this country. They're bringing our children, and that's what's happening to them, man. They're becoming slaves in this country. And why? Because that's what's been going on with us since the very beginning, man. And let me tell you something. This is nothing new. Let me tell you, I'm going to go into another article here. And this is what happens to our people. You know, we've been enslaved in this thing for a long time. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump is trying to deport our Mexican people. We're all worried about, oh, hey, Donald Trump, you know, he's trying to build a wall, deport our people, you know, things like that. But let me tell you something, right? Let me tell you what it is. The largest mass deportation in American history really occurred in 1940s, man. You know what I'm saying? That's when when it really started, when it really took place, man. In 1954, there was an operation called Operation Wetback, and this was by the Eisenhower administration. It was mass deportation. And let me tell you something, and the reason I bring out the banana thing is because this is very relevant to what we were reading about the Great White Boat, right? What was it called? The Great White Ship, or let me get it here. The Great White Fleet. So this Great White Fleet, when this company, the United Fruit Company, was at its greatest stage, was in the 1950s, right? They were making thousands of dollars on this. Thousands. Let me say billions of dollars on this market, transporting bananas from Central America to America, and they were making a killing. Well, also in 1954, while that was going on, while they're transporting bananas, America decides to implement this Operation Wetback, where they deported over 2 million Mexican and Mexican Americans within a year or two. Imagine, that's 1 million people a year. How are you going to move 1 million people out of America in a year, right? Well, let me tell you something, right? I'm gonna read it. Okay, so let me go into this read. Okay, I'm gonna show you how relevant the Great White Fleet was to what's happening to the Mexican people in this time. Okay, so it says in 1955, thousands of disoriented people roamed the city streets as the sun bore down on them. They had just been dumped by the American immigration officials, snatched from their lives and jobs in the United States, and thrown into a city where they did not know anyone. So what they're doing is that they're rounding up Mexicans, Latin Americans, Mexican American Chicanos, and they're rounding it up, man. They're not checking if you're legal or not. They're rounding you up and throwing you on boats, on trains, on cars, on airplanes, and they're shipping out people like mad crazy. So let me continue. These Mexican immigrants had been caught in the snare of Operation Wetback, the biggest mass deportation of undocumented workers in the United States history. As many as 1.3 million people have been swept up by the Eisenhower era campaign with the racist name Operation Wetback, which was designed to root out undocumented Mexicans from American society. So this article is touching it, and this is an article from American History, College of I can't. Well, I'll go into it, but let me, because I passed it up. So right, the short-lived operation used military-style tactics to remove Mexican immigrants, some of them American citizens. So see that? Mexican-American citizens, not only Mexicans, right? Mexican, some of them American citizens from the United States. Though millions of Mexicans had illegally entered the country through joint immigration programs, in the first half of the 20th century, Operation Wetback was designed to send them all back to Mexico. So what's happening here is that they're just trying to get rid of you, man. This is about your skin color. That's what this is about. This is not about you being Mexican. This is not you, being illegal. This is about you black, you Mexican, man. Get out of here. We don't want you here. Same rhetoric that we're hearing today in America. You know what? Those Mexicans that say, I went out and voted this week. Oh, I voted, man. What good is it for you to vote? They still hate you. You're still a goddamn wetback. You're still a Mexican to them. You ain't no difference whether you vote or you don't. You are still the same person. So let's go on. Let me go on. It says, inside the along the way, they used widespread racial stereotypes to justify their sometimes brutal treatment of immigrants. So here we go, right? Oh, so let me start from the top. Border Patrol agents and local officials use military tactics to engage in coordinated tactical operations to remove immigrants. That's the same thing we're seeing today. We're seeing them use the same tactics that Eisenhower used in those days today to remove Mexicans. That's why that young lady was shot, 20 years old, a girl from Guatemala, killed in front of everybody in broad daylight, left in a vacant lot. Along the way, they used widespread racial stereotypes to justify their sometimes brutal treatment of immigrants. What are we seeing today on the news, on the media? Along the way, they're using widespread racial stereotypes. Let me tell you something. What I read to you a little bit earlier, same thing that's happening in this portion of our history. We're being racially stereotyped. Wetbacks, what is it? Thieves, rapists, murderers. Isn't that what they're calling us? Racial stereotypes that they're giving us all over again to make us seem like we're these people, right? United States and sentiment was pervasive. So who has anti-Mexican sentiment? What is it pervasive of? Very simple, man. The white man has anti-Mexican sentiment against us. I see it all the time, man. Stop speaking Spanish, right? Why are you speaking Spanish, right? So, same with the blacks. We don't want black people here. Anti-black, anti-Mexican sentiment in America today. That's what it is. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. That's what's being broadcast in the media today. They even have newscasters, that crazy white woman. I don't even know her name. I don't care to know her name. But she is always there ranting about how it was right for the white police officer to kill the black man or to beat the black man or to arrest him or to do whatever they did, right? What is this? White and black anti-American sentiment. It says, and harsh portrayals of Mexican immigrants as dirty, disease-bearing, and irresponsible people was the norm. Man, right? They were calling us harsh portrayal of Mexican immigrants as dirty. Oh, we're dirty, not knowing that we're the cleanest people there is, right? The Aztecs bathed every single day. Who's the real dirty people? Come on, you're on my, you're watching me. Who are the real dirty people? Who are the people who didn't even know how to bathe, right? Who taught them how to bathe? That's who really it is, right? And disease bearing. They called us disease bearing, right? In those days, who bring the disease to the Native American Indian? Who bring the disease to the Mexican? Who bring filled with chicken pox? We didn't even know what chicken pox were. We didn't know those diseases. We were extraordinarily clean. Our streets were clean. Everything we did was clean. So, and irresponsible was the norm. And irresponsible, man, we're out picking their fruit every day. We're working in the fields in the sun continually. You know what I'm saying? And yet we're responsible. Yet they said we were irreparable, that this was the norm. You know why? Once again, Edward Bernays, right, learned how to manipulate people's emotion. And what are you seeing here? You're seeing the manipulation of people's emotions through medias. That's what it is. They're manipulating, once again, like I showed you earlier in the Washington article, of how he used advertisement to, instead of sell people logically, they sold people emotionally. That's how advertisement began to work, to emotionally get you to buy something. Today, they're emotionally getting you to take sides. And for white folks, and I'm racist, and I'm proud to be racist. So let's go on. Operation back of immigrants were ships, boats, and planes, right? And often unfamiliar parts of Mexico to rebuild their lives. So we were filled with immigrants and flown to Mexico. In Texas, 25% of all immigrants deported were crammed onto boats, later compared to slave ships. Imagine that. What they did to my people, to the Mexican people, is that in 1 year, they were just every week getting Mexicans, putting them in planes. Every week getting Mexican, putting them in boats. And they said crammed onto boats, later compared to slave ships. And I'm going to go on to show you how, man, my people were dying on those boats. What boats were they? You know what they were? They were cargo ships. What cargo ships? In that time, in 1954, when this was taking place, was the same time that the banana boats from Honduras were coming over here and dropping off bananas. And you know what they're doing? In those boats, they were filling them with our people and sending back to Mexico. So they were using is that. Let me tell you something. Do you think they cleaned up? Hell no. You know they ain't. They are not human enough to do that. They have no compassion. They are incompassionate. They have no love for anybody but themselves. So they were sending them. What 3 times a week, right? And let me go on. On the boat, people, and we were deported from Mexico. The only difference is, you know what? The robbery was still one. It was still hell for us to go through that. So, I wanting custody, man. Our people were dying while they were in what was happening to them. It is not clear consent. Of course, it's not unclear. Of course, it's unclear. They didn't care to count, right? We're up back, but the United States later claimed that 1.3 million. However, some historians dispute the claim that it could have been even more. The number of deportees was drastically lower than the United States reported. So they wanted to say later on, right? But we know what it is. They did in the US date the great wave of deep in the New Deal where order to not include them, guess they deported them. Or else what would happen? Give them wealth. Isn't that what they did? They did that on purpose. Why? Because they ancestors, and they were living on those properties. When they were deported, owned those properties damn well, right? Guess it. White people own those properties now. So if you're a white person and you're living on some land, or you got a nice house that your great-great-grandmother gave to you, guess whose land she took that from? Exactly. Deported these people and took their land from them. Man, white men should have shame for what they've done to our people. Historians, the U.S. deported over 1 million percent of whom were U.S. citizens of Mexico, and half gonna work the field. You know who's gonna work the field? The Mexican. Let me show you our people, and I got